Everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. Hope that you have a great Sunday so far. So, guys, I have a special video for you. We're going to talk about RocketLab. Before I talk about RocketLab, though, I want to mention something about the stock market. And in regards to recession or a market crash, etc., because people, unfortunately, and people tend to focus on the negative news. They love to follow, I don't know, some social media account that might just constantly talk about conspiracies or, the end of the markets, you're going to lose everything, and just constant talk like that. People just, I don't know, they're drawn to that because maybe most likely of fear that they would lose money, etc. And what I'm just going to make it real quick is what I want to say, guys, is that you can make investing fun. It can be fun all year long. It doesn't matter if it's a market crash. Investing can be fun. It can be great. It can be something where there's nothing negative about it, or you feel negative and you feel depressed, etc. It can be like, you can make it fun. Well, by just investing money, you don't need, I mean, how many times have we said it over and over and over and over? And I keep seeing people putting money in the market that they need, but at that time they're not even thinking, and they're just like going all out on something, or just spreading all their money everywhere when they actually needed that money. You're not going to live off the stock market completely, okay? Only very few people can manage that. You're always going to need to do something, work somewhere, right? You're always going to need to have some kind of job. So don't go all out. Don't try to be in a rush to make it to the moon and all this stuff, guys, because then you're going to turn investing and or trading, however you want, whatever your style is, you're going to turn it into a hell, right? It's not going to be fun, right? So your goal should just be to put money you don't need and just don't lose your money. Like, and with time they'll grow. I mean, so that's that. And also, as far as indicators and some rules and all that stuff, those are great rules. They're indicators and all that stuff. But guys, I did a video about 8 days ago. This was the thumbnail, market crash. In that video, I explained and showed throughout history, every single time we had Fed rate cuts, how every single time for the past 20 years, those Fed rate cuts always led to the market going down. And the point of that is why and how is because basically the Federal Reserve always waits until pretty much it's too late. They always say, is the Federal Reserve going to be behind the curve this time or not? It always is, because they want to make sure that everything is gone right where they want it to be, so that inflation targets and all that stuff is met. And in order for them to make sure, because data is always delayed, when they start cutting rates, it's always, they're always behind the curve. It always will be like that. And so when they start cutting rates again, the market's going to go down, because they cut rates, obviously, because they saw data that showed that, the U.S. has higher unemployment, the economy is cooling off way more than they expected, and all that stuff. Yeah, okay, the markets will go down, but history has also shown that the markets rebound really fast. Now, let's focus on RocketLab. Why, if I'm selling stocks, or I expect that the market will go down with Fed rate cuts, why would I be interested in RocketLab? One, I don't get out of the market completely. I sell stocks that I'm already up since last year or 2 years ago, etc., that I don't think that I believe that I don't need. But there are stocks, a few, not many, that I believe that are highly undervalued, or I believe that they are in the early stages. It's a young company. I want to be part of it. And I see a really bright future in it. So I can't tell where the bottom is. And if I believe that the price now is perfect, I'm in, right? Now, as far as RocketLab, let's focus on RocketLab. Let me explain to you why RocketLab is a stock that I personally am not going to drop out of it. I'm not leaving it. I'm not selling it. I don't care if the market goes down. I'm not getting out, because I stand not to lose. So one person said, I think you need to explain why you're willing to hold a company losing that much money and constantly diluting shareholders in a sector with way more powerful players who can disrupt them at any moment they want. Okay, fine. Let's focus on this comment, because it's actually a very good comment. The company losing money, he says. Well, they're young, right? RocketLab is extremely young when you compare it to Boeing or when you compare it to SpaceX, which is privately held, it's not on the stock market. But when you compare RocketLab to SpaceX or Boeing or Lockheed Martin, they're extremely young. So any young startup, any company that's still young is not profitable. Rarely would you ever see that. So I am bullish on RocketLab because obviously I see financial data year over year that is pointing to a company that is getting better financially.
They are trying their best to be able to become profitable here in the future. And we actually did see a really nice earnings announcement. They actually did report sales of around $106 million. It's a 15% increase on a quarter by quarter basis. We also saw that revenue grow by 70% on a year over year basis. Now they're still making a loss when you're looking at an EBITDA basis, coming in at around a loss of $21 million, but they are very optimistic about the growth of their company moving forward.
Constantly diluting shareholders, all right? So the person mentions that they're constantly diluting shareholders. The dilution is actually not as dramatic as it's stated in the comment at all. And also, the company is so young that if you were to go back at the same age that RocketLab is now and compare it with SpaceX, when SpaceX was young also, they did countless of funding rounds, etc. And, SpaceX. And if SpaceX was a publicly traded company, they would have diluted shareholders big time also, right? Tesla diluted shareholders in their early days also, right? So let's not forget that. That's just part of investing in a young company. You have to accept that. How do I stand not to lose money in a way? Like you can always lose money, but how do I stand not to lose money in RocketLab? Let me explain. We have this person right here, Rebecca, who actually made a really nice comment and said, the space industry is far bigger than people realize. RocketLab is doing more business than Blue Origin, for sure. Blue Origin, I'm not even like, Blue Origin's stupid compared to RocketLab in my opinion. And we can all see how well that joint venture of Lockheed Martin and Boeing is doing so far with astronauts stranded at the ISS. Yes, you know about the the fiasco behind the Boeing thing going.
2 NASA astronauts have been stranded on the International Space Station for 7 weeks and counting. And as CTV's Garrett Berry tells us, it could take 8 months to bring them home.
Boeing can't even get bolts right on their planes. Their planes are falling off the sky. Doors are falling off the sky. Bolts are missing. They sent astronauts to the International Space Station. They're stuck there already like 63 days. And NASA is now asking SpaceX to go and save them, right? Okay. So yeah, I'm not. And the other thing with Boeing is not run by its founder, right? The founder is gone. Boeing is run by a bunch of elites who all they care about at the end of the day is their own personal pockets, not Boeing. But obviously they want to keep Boeing alive. I'm not saying that they want to run Boeing bankrupt, but I'll get to the part with the founder why that's also very important to take part. Mike is brave as a pioneer for getting in early. Yes. Okay. If we count the price, I got pretty good price. I'll show you my shares in a little bit. If Mike has 1,000 shares, at worst, he can lose 4K. If he's diversified, etc., that's not even going to cause a dent. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. $4,000 may be a lot of money to some people, but for me, $4,000 is a risk worth taking, and I'm willing to take this on for the next 10, 15 years, etc. if RocketLab is still alive and executing right. But if RocketLab is around for the next 10 years, 15 years, and it is executing right, investing $4,000 in RocketLab now, personally speaking for me, isn't going to make me lose out on anything. I have more chances that I would actually gain out of this investment than losing. But do I have 1,000 shares in RocketLab, guys? No, I don't. I have 500 shares. So I got 500 shares. The average is at $4.39. When I had posted this for my, which was an update that I had given them on my Discord, that was back on April 4th, 2024. Actually, RocketLab was trading at $3.91 at the time. So I could have added more if I wanted to. I didn't. I probably should have. Yeah, I should have, but I didn't. So yeah, currently today, guys, I have 500 shares of RocketLab at $4.39. That's my average. RocketLab right now is at $5.43, so I am way up. I'm about 30% up, right? So around there, 30% gain right now, which is stunning. It's amazing, but nothing compared to what I expect from RocketLab 10 years from now. So even if the market it goes into a recession, going back to that, even if the stock market goes to a recession, and the market is down for whatever time because of the Fed rate cuts and because the market is scared. Oh, are you cutting rates now because the economy is bad? It must be bad. I see the unemployment rates going up. And the market starts going down. I could care less. How many times over and over and over must we look at what Warren Buffett has done through his lifetime? How many wars and recessions and stock market crashes has Warren Buffett been through? People criticize him for selling Apple and said, if he's selling Apple, well, why am I listening to this guy about long term? Yeah, well, I'm going to say it again and again. He held Apple longer than 98% of retail investors would ever dare to hold anything. All right, most people can't even hold the stock for a few months, whereas Warren Buffett was holding Apple for years and years and years. The point is that if you invest in a company that's undervalued or trading at a cheap price, etc., RocketLab right now, me buying it at $4.39, and with the potential that it has, I stand not to lose. I actually stand to have more chances of gaining a lot out of this investment. Would I add another 500 shares to make it 1,000? Yes. At current price of $5.43? No. I'll wait. We'll see. Okay, it's a wait and see thing. Also, going back to this comment where this person is asking me to explain why I'm willing to hold RocketLab. Let's talk about Elon Musk real quick. Would you say that Elon Musk is one of the greatest businessmen that has ever lived in history? One of the greatest? Whether you like his personality or not, forget that. Isn't he one of the greatest? The guy was a visionary, innovative, smart, and more important than that is execution, because you can have a lot of actually good ideas and they can make sense, but if you don't know how to execute, you're not going to get anywhere. So Elon Musk fits as one of the greatest entrepreneurs, businessmen, founders, whatever you want to call it, in history. The guy came up with SpaceX. He came up with PayPal and sold it. He came up with Tesla. He came up with the Boring Company. He came up with and let's not forget the green energy part of Tesla. It's not just about making vehicles. So the guy is super smart and he knows how to execute. And people from the early days invested in him. They didn't invest in what would be the future because they didn't know where things would lead. You can't know exactly where things will go. But you trusted Elon Musk. You saw him as a visionary. You trusted the guy, and you thought, you know what? I'm going to give him money, and I trust that this guy is going to lead the way. And as a shareholder, I will gain. All right. The same thing was with Berkshire Hathaway. When Warren Buffett first began, slowly people started to trust him in the early days and said, you know what? This guy is a visionary. He's innovative. He's smart. He can execute. I'm going to give him my money because I trust him and what he's going to do in the future, and that's going to lead to prosperity. So Peter Beck is not Warren Buffett. Peter Beck, the founder of RocketLab, is not Elon Musk. Every person is different. They're not. Everyone's unique. They're not the same. But I see in Peter Beck a founder and a visionary and a guy who has great ideas and a guy who's actually passionate about his company, which is rarely. You can't say that about the board members or the people running Boeing, right?
It shouldn't be forgotten that we weren't the preordained winner of the small launch vehicle race. I can remember, raising capital in Silicon Valley, and the first question that I would always get is, why do you think you can beat Virgin Orbit and Richard Branson? For me, it was always really obvious that the product that we were building was the right fit. The team were working their butts off. We had the right engineering and the right product for the market at the right time. The team and the product, we all understand that they come to us to do missions that nobody else can do.
What would you say to the team on reaching 50?
Party hard, team. We made it to 50 and we made it there the fastest.
So I see RocketLab being led by a guy who started this, who believes in this company, who's extremely passionate about it, has great ideas, and so far is actually executing and proving that he has the execution skill, which is the most critical part. So one reason why I'm invested in RocketLab, and at $4.39, I consider it a really good entry, is because of Peter Beck. And I believe in his leadership, and I think that Peter Beck can lead the way, and as a shareholder, I will gain also. So when it comes to investing in small companies, guys, successfully, investors need to be ready to go through periods of improvements in the company, through periods of where the company needs to improve fundamentally, and that will yield little, negative, or no returns for some time in the beginning. So Rocket Lab's fundamentals are actually improving, and they're constantly improving each year, which is another reason why I'm still bullish in the company. And like I said, the Peter Beck, I'm very bullish in this guy. Revenues are expected to accelerate to over $430 million by the end of this year. This is amazing. High double-digit growth projected for the next 5 years. And we have Neutron, which I have repeatedly said many times, that if we can get it right and not get it right, but if we can finally get it to launch, like you have to realize if you follow the space industry and SpaceX, for example, what was the most successful product for SpaceX that has given them and generated for them a ton of money and has also helped their market cap grow insane? Falcon 9. The rocket. But Falcon 9 is extremely important. This thing really has propelled SpaceX to new levels. And the equivalent to Falcon 9 for RocketLab will be Neutron. And Neutron rocket, which is still in the works, but should be operational by early 2025, is going to help propel RocketLab to a whole new level.
But we're going to build a big rocket.
It's called Neutron, and behind me is just the fairing. This is a purpose-built mega constellation building machine for all the mega constellations of today and of tomorrow. It's an 8-ton class launch vehicle, and of course, it's reusable. But one thing that's probably more exciting and most unusual for RocketLab is that this vehicle is capable of human spaceflight. Launching 2024.
Improvements on the balance sheet, guys. Revenue for RocketLab. In 2019, this small, tiny little company had just $48 million in revenue, which was basically nothing for a space company, right? In 2020, $35 million. And from 2009 to 2020, they have now reached a 2023 of $244 million. In 2024, projected to hit at minimum $400 million in revenue. From 2019 to 2024, just 5 years later, they go on from having like $35 million in revenue to $400 million in revenue. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet. We haven't even started the Neutron, the Constellation program, and a lot more. RocketLab shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results, which were the most recent ones that propelled the stock to go up. And also the company announced it hot-fired its new rocket engine, Archimedes, for the first time. Archimedes, by the way, if you want to learn a little bit of history, was an ancient Greek mathematician who came up with the world's first computer for a guy who was alive before Christ was on Earth. I think at least 200 years before, and came up with this computer that was able to predict astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance. Are you kidding me? Archimedes mechanism? Come on, guys, right? Awesome. RocketLab introduces the next generation satellite dispenser, another news that came out recently. RocketLab partners with KSAT for streamlined satellite communications for customers with upgradable ground station service. RocketLab jumps on propelled record revenue. RocketLab stock rallies after space launch company sees a jump in sales. They had $106 million in the most recent earnings, which was up 71% year over year. Says they missed by $1 million. Come on, they went up 71%. Don't give me that crap that you found that negative. For the third quarter of 2024, RocketLab expects revenue between 100 to 105 million, right, for the third quarter of this year, and the space systems revenue between 79 to 84 million dollars. They begin installation of large carbon composite rocket building machine, which is going to be expected to save around 150,000 manufacturing hours in the Neutron rocket's production process. And RocketLab is exploring possible applications for a satellite constellation that they would build, launch, and operate in-house, similar to that of SpaceX Starlink business, guys. Neutron, the satellite constellation, the ever-increasing orders that they are receiving from customers and new customers using the Electron rocket, the one that they have now. There's a lot of things that are going right. The pieces are all falling just right. The execution is right. CEO Peter Beck said that this year's second quarter was RocketLab's highest revenue quarter in company history at $106 million. Also, the company, guys, has ended the quarter with $1 billion of total backlog, with launch backlog of $294 million and space systems backlog of $772 million. So basically, the company is experiencing rapid growth. They're driven by increased demand of various applications such as Earth observation, communications, scientific research. They are getting constantly ever more. If you follow them on the X platform, and go to follow RocketLab, you will constantly get more. You'll see that they are constantly getting more and more posts about new orders, new things going on, more than they was last year. It's constantly increasing, which is awesome. Also, the deal with Synspective, which was I think 2 to 3 weeks ago at most, that it was announced for the launch of 10 satellites. That was a $550 million deal, which is not, they haven't launched all 10 of those yet. In my opinion, if people look at RocketLab for the past 5 years, they will see a commendable progress, a progress that is worthy of saying, you know what, they're doing well. This is amazing progress the past 5 years, more than amazing. And, in my opinion, it deserves an investment. At the current price of $4.39 that I own 500 shares of RocketLab, I do not expect that this is a investment that is high risk for me. I don't expect it to be a high risk because I have a lot of expectations that are on the positive side for the future growth of this company. So I believe that I did get in at a very early price, and a good price actually. So I'm very happy with my entry. Now I want to say something else. Do not at all, in any way, shape, or form, buy RocketLab stock based on my video. Do not at all. In fact, I would tell you not to buy RocketLab. All right, so I'm telling you not to buy RocketLab. If you're going to buy and invest in RocketLab, you should do it based on your own full independent due diligence, your own homework, and based on what you find. If you like it, that's fine. That's that will be your decision. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about RocketLab. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to join us on the Discord, the link will be in the description of the video. It's patreon.com/bullmarketwatch. And I wish you guys all the best. Have a great Sunday. Take care.